Hi, I'm Maggie Weldon from Maggie's Crochet, and this sparkling ornament cover video is sponsored by Premier Yarns. To make this cover, I crocheted with a double strand of Enchant colors spun gold, and one ball is plenty to make several ornaments. Premier's Enchant is a number 0 lace weight metallic sequin yarn that comes in 7 colors. So you could use all different colors of ornaments and then make different colored covers for these. Enchant is perfect for jewelry and accessories and as a carry-along yarn in bulkier projects. Additional materials that you will need are scissors, yarn needle, I suggest a pair of magnifying glasses, and this may help speed up the project, and of course a ornament. The result is well worth the effort in this project, and I'm thinking about making a bunch of these for everyone in my family for this Christmas. The links to everything are listed below, and I want to thank you for watching this video, and let's get started on this lesson. So to start your ornament cover, you want to use a double strand of the Enchant yarn, and so to do that, what I did was take the label and I just folded it, and I'm winding off enough for the whole project. So if you need, like if it says that you need 100 yards for the project, then you need to wind off 50 yards because you're going to be using a double strand. So anyway, in the beginning, I want to fold them in half so that I am working with double, and I'm going to leave a long end on my starting chain because I always do. Then I'm going to make a slip knot, and then when I'm working with this yarn, because of the sequins coming up all the time, I just want to work really loose, and I think they look prettier. These novelty yarns, I think they look prettier when you do them in a looser gauge, and we've had a lot of questions about gauge coming up recently. Right now I want to chain 12, so I'm going to just do 1, 2, make sure you catch both strands, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I want to show you a little trick. When you're working with thread, it's different than yarn because it tends to slip through your hands a lot faster than yarn. And if you don't do something to slow it down, it can get very aggravating. So when I was doing that chain just now, I had my little finger squeezing the yarn as it was coming through. Another thing I do sometimes is I just wind it around there one time like that, and then it has to go around my finger, and that slows it down. Another thing that you could do is actually put a little weight on the yarn before you start, and then it has to pull through a weight. So you can just try all different things to slow the yarn down. But that's mainly the problem, because it's so fine, it just slips through your hands faster. So anyway, I've chained 12, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the first chain to form a ring. So pull that up and then pull that through the loop on my hook. I want to work over my starting chain here, so I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work 24 single crochets into the center ring. So I'm going to work over the end of my starting chain and into the ring at the same time. So you just have to relax and do loose stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and work the 24 single crochets all the way around, and you do the same, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. So now I've completed the 24 single crochets into the ring, and I worked over my strand the entire time. So I am going to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet to chain to form a ring. And I highly recommend some magnifying glasses for projects like this. And they're just a handy thing to have in your toolkit. So right now I'm going to go underneath the 2 strands of the first single crochet there, just like as you normally would with when you're working with yarn. If I can get in there. See, I did them really loose, and if you do them tight, you're going to have a hard time getting back into your stitches when you try to join or do the next round of stitches or row. So to join, I'm going to bring that loop through and then bring that through the loop on my hook like that, and that makes the circle. And then I can just snip this because I worked 24 single crochets around it, or I could put this on a needle and sew it in just a little bit. But I want to snip it because it's a little hard to sew with these sequins on here. And I'll show you later a little trick with that. So anyway, right now I'm going to chain 1, work a single crochet in that same single crochet as joining. Then I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3. There's 5. And then I'm going to skip 1 single crochet and single crochet in the next single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to skip the next one and then go into the next one. Okay, right here. So you should end up with 12 chain 5 loops at the end, but I need to, before you finish up the 12th one, I got to show you something. So here's 5, and then you skip the next one. And then you skip the next one. This is actually very easy. 1, 2, 3, 5, and then skip 1. I got a little bead in the way I got to push away. Not a bead, a sequin. But that's what gives it the sparkle, all the threads and the sequins. I've been thinking about starting like a family ornament exchange. I thought it'd be kind of neat to make like these for everybody. And then every year just do a special crochet ornament. I think that'd be really neat. Okay, so I'm just almost around, and so far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is my 8th one. I'm skipping 1 and going into the next one. On the next round, we'll be working into the chain 5 loops, so it won't be as difficult to find the stitches to go on. That was number 10. You got to make sure you get both loops. Okay. 11. Okay, now I got to show you a little part to this joining. It's different. Okay, so this joining, you form the last loop when you are joining. So instead of the chain 5 loop, all you do is chain 2, and you join with a double crochet to the first single crochet to form the last loop. That's what the directions are going to say. It's going to say chain 2, join with a double crochet to the first single crochet to form the last loop, because that double crochet is going to count as the chain 3, and then I just did the chain 2. So here I am, and here's my first single crochet right here, and I did my chain 2, and all I got to do is yarn over and work a double crochet into the single crochet, and that forms the last loop of that round, because that's the equivalent of a chain 5, because I did a chain 2 and then a double crochet typically counts for as a chain 2. I mean as a chain 3, and vice versa, chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So now I'm in a position to start my next round in the center of the loop, so I don't have to like slip a stitch over to the center. I'm right there. So all you do is chain 1 and you work a single crochet in the same loop as that was formed by joining. So you just work a single there and then chain 5, and continue around just like that. So every round is this chain 5 and single in the loop now. I'm going to go in here. So it's the same all the way around. So you're still going to have 12 loops every round. So if you look at this finished one here, this was the round that I just did. This was the second one that I just started. So there's one, no, the round 1 was all the single crochets, and then there's round 2, and then 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 rounds. So when you get down to the bottom, I'm going to show you how to gather this, but go ahead and finish your 8 rounds and join it, and then I'll show you how to bring this all together and make the tassel. So I've completed round 8 of my ornament, and this was the end of my starting chain, and then I joined this round 8, and then I pulled this through, and when I pulled it through, some of these sequins got stuck, so I had a hard time with it. So I figured out a little trick that might help you with that. I've stripped all the sequins off this, and I've either pushed them down the strand or I've actually gone in and cut them off. So these are the last 2 left on here, and I could easily just slide those off. But if they're further up here, it's not as easy to do. So I just hold them, like hold them up. I don't want to cut the, if I didn't want to cut the strand, you just have to hold it out and then just cut across the halfway point of the sequin right there, making sure not to cut the thread. If I could get that there. I think I got, let me see, like that. Whichever way you got to do it. But I find that just cutting them completely in half, that's good because they'll fall off. And then this is the last one here. You can just slide them off too. Or you can unravel the strands and then they come right off. But if you don't do that, you could run into trouble when you're trying to sew your ends in on this stuff, or you know, I'm gonna show you how to weave through. So on this end, before you sew that end in, I think it'd be easier if you pulled these sequins off. So anyway, just one of my tips I figured out. Okay, so I'm gonna put my cover on my little ornament here. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here. And I'm gonna thread my needle onto the strands that have been stripped of their sequins. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go, I wanna catch every one of these loops so I can drawstring them in on the bottom. So I'm just gonna go in and out, just weave my needle. And I can pick up about 4 at a time. So there's 12, so just 3 times around. I should be back to the beginning here. Okay, so I made like a drawstring. I picked up each loop with my end, and so now I'm going to pull it tight on the bottom. I don't need to pull it like super tight, but just I can go all the way in. I don't know why that, I think I pulled in wrong there. Hold on. Yeah, I went down in this row below instead of the top row there. Sometimes I think it's good to make mistakes on the videos because I'll correct it and then you guys can see. Okay, so I need to just pick up that top loop, and before I was picking up like this loop a couple of times. Okay, because when I went to draw it in, it just didn't look right. All right, that should be good there. See, that looks better. Okay, so you pull it in, and then look how pretty it looks. It's gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to hold this in place here, and I'm going to go behind where I came out with my needle. And then I'm going to go, I'm going to come behind it there and then go into that loop. I'm just going to secure it there however I have to do it. Just don't want that to come out. I'm going to come into the center. I'm going to wrap this around so it forms a knot. And that like that. Well, I'm just going to do it about 3 or 4 times. Like that. Okay, that's good. And I'll just snip the end. There. So that's how you sew the cover to the bulb. And if you wanted to make the cover so that you could actually take it off the bulb, you could just chain maybe about until it's about 12 inches long and weave the chain through here and then tie a bow at the bottom. But that's how you sew the cover to the ornament. Now I'm going to show you how to put the tassel on the bottom of the ornament. So I've cut a double strand of the Enchant thread, and it's about 1 yard long, the two strands. Now I've wrapped a single strand of Enchant around a 6-inch piece of cardboard. Actually, it's about 5.5 inches. And I've wrapped it 20 times, so that's what you see here. So at the halfway point, I am going to put my double strand of 1 yard long thread underneath it like this, and probably about leaving about 4 or 5 inches out here. I am going to tie a knot very carefully because I still have all my sequins on here. If you want, you can cut these sequins off, but I have to leave big loops to make sure that all my sequins are going to fit through my knots, because if they get stuck, then it's a problem. So I see them sliding through. I just have to make sure they make it through and don't cause me any trouble. Okay, so there I've got one knot across the center. I'm just eyeballing the center of the loops like this. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to move this strand over this strand. And I'm going to tie another knot. And again, I want the loop to be really loose so those sequins don't get stuck. I'm watching every sequin and make sure it gets through right. Yes, I did it. Okay, now this loop can just hang down and I'll trim it later. Or it could be, this loop actually could be the loop that you use to tie onto that one. So let's use that for that. So now I want to create kind of a tassel out of this because I want these loops to be down like this. So with the longer side of my 1 yard, I'm going to kind of squeeze these together like this. And then I'm going to hold this. See, here's my knot here, and then I'm going to hold this maybe about an inch, a ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch down from the little knot, and I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to start wrapping it like this. Actually, I should knot that. Hold on. I am going to put this on my needle like that, and then I'm trying to make like a tassel out of it. Okay, so about 3/4 of an inch down, I'm going to hold that strand right there. I'm going to come back around like this. I've got a loop around it, and I'm going to bring my needle right here so I can make a knot. And I'm going to make sure all those sequins behave. See, I've got one there that could cause me trouble, and another one there. And I think another one. Oh, Lord, they're all landing up right there. Okay, I'm just going to, oh, I did it. All of them came through. So I'm just going to make a little knot, and it's down from that top knot right there. If you want, you can just tie on a separate strand and just tie it around there. And you want to make sure your top is all nice and even. There's a strand right here that I will find and pull down. See if I pull it right here, there, I think it's right there, there. Okay, I want to make sure that they're all lined up before I tighten this. So I'm going to tighten it like this. All right, so I've got the start of my little tassel here. So I'm going to wrap it around one more time like this. I'm going to do one more, well, let me just wrap it. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it around here a few times because I want it to be like a little tassel. Okay. All right. And the little tassel is going to hang from underneath the bulb. And I could have been more even on my loops, but it's pretty good. Okay, so let's say I'm done wrapping here. And I am going to pull my needle up. I really didn't need a whole yard there. And I'm going to cut my end kind of, not short, but a little bit shorter than I have it. Because now it's time to get these beads off of, these sequins off of here. I'm going to try to slide them off here as best I can. Because I don't want them getting in my way. Alright, just slide or cut your sequins off. You might have wanted to do this first. Okay, so get all your sequins off, and then when you're done here, you can tie a knot around the bottom like this. Your last strand would be like a knot. And then do that again, like a knot around the bottom. Like this. And what I really want to do is take my needle and bring this strand up through here to finish, but I can't because I've still got sequins on here. So if you just go ahead and cut your sequins off, you could take your needle and just run that up through there if it'll fit, but these knots will help. I might do a third knot just to make sure that this is going to stay in place. Like this. And typically tassels are a lot easier to make than this, but it's just because of this, all those sequins on there. But the effect of, you know, using this yarn is worth it because it's so pretty. Okay, so you want these kind of messed up a little bit. Not messed up, but you know, fluffed out. All right, so then you just attached this to the, I don't know, to the bottom, I guess. To the bottom. And to do that, you just want to take that loop that we started with. Since it was a double strand, you're going to have two. And just tie that to the bottom. So I would take one part and stick it through there. And the other part across the way here. And just lift this up. It should be pretty loose, your cover. Like that. And then bring it up and tie a knot with the ends. That's it. And make sure you just tie it so it squeezes all together, and then that way it'll go to the center. It'll hang from the center. Then weave these ends in. And you're good to go. So that'll hang from the bottom. And then I'm going to cut these ends off. Okay, so that's how you make the bottom tassel to go on your ornament. So that's how you make the ornament, and thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and links to everything that you saw me use in this video are listed below the video.